January 17, 1944. A bitter wind cut through the frozen fields of northern Italy. The sky was a flat steel gray, and smoke from distant artillery hung low, curling like ghostly fingers over the mud-slicked terrain. Soldiers crouched behind battered hedgerows, their breaths forming clouds in the freezing air. Somewhere ahead, the rhythmic pounding of heavy guns shook the ground, each concussion a stark reminder of the relentless war around them. In the midst of this chaos, one gunner knelt alone beside his weapon, the cold metal biting into his palms. His eyes scanned the enemy lines, unblinking, calculating. Around him, comrades struggled to maintain aim as recoil threw rifles off course, their shots scattered. But he remained steady, every muscle taut yet controlled, every stance measured. His secret was a technique whispered about in passing among artillerymen, a recoil absorption method that allowed him to fire continuously without faltering. The moment stretched. 90 shots would come, 90 chances to alter the flow of battle. And through the winter haze, the first shot cracked the silence. The stakes were clear, precision or chaos. The gunner's skill would decide which. This sets the stage for the story of both human endurance and technical mastery, leading directly into the broader context of the battle and the world around him. By early 1944, the European theater had settled into a brutal rhythm of attrition. The Allies had landed in Italy months earlier, pushing slowly northward against entrenched German positions. The terrain was unforgiving. Mountains, rivers, and ruined villages slowed every advance. Soldiers faced not only enemy fire, but the constant threat of frostbite, exhaustion, and disease. Every decision, every movement carried life or death consequences. In this environment, small units relied heavily on skilled gunners to provide accurate covering. Fire. Artillery and infantry rifles were the backbone of any operation, yet the practical limitations of these weapons often defined the pace of battle. A standard infantry rifle produced a significant recoil, enough to throw off aim after a few consecutive shots. Artillery crews working under pressure faced similar challenges. Maintaining accuracy while firing repeatedly required not just strength but precise technique. The gunner at the center of this story was part of an elite squad tasked with suppressing a heavily fortified German position atop a ridgeline. These positions were fortified with machine guns, mortars, and sniper nests, making frontal assaults nearly impossible. Reports from previous attempts had highlighted the failure to sustain accurate fire under pressure, costing lives and stalling advances. Units had learned the hard way that a single soldier who could maintain consistent aim could shift the balance of a firefight. This context frames the significance of his recoil absorption stance. It was not a theoretical exercise, it was a tactical necessity, forged in response to the unforgiving reality of the Italian front, where one precise shooter could mean the difference between survival and disaster. The stage was set. The harsh winter, the entrenched enemy, and the unforgiving terrain all converged on a single point, the moment when skill would meet circumstance. The technical challenges of sustained firing were more than physical. They were deeply psychological. A soldier's muscles would fatigue, hands would tremble, and the mind, constantly aware of incoming fire, would fight both instinct and fear. Recoil was not just a minor inconvenience. It disrupted aim, slowed rate of fire, and forced repeated adjustments. In intense engagements, even a single misfire could expose a squad to deadly counterattacks. Weapons themselves imposed strict limits. The standard-issue M1 Garand, favored by American infantry, had a powerful semi-automatic action. Each round discharged produced a recoil that shifted the rifle slightly, forcing the shooter to realign after every shot. Artillery pieces, though mounted, demanded coordinated handling. Cranks, levers, and heavy shells required precision and timing. A lapse of even a second could result in wasted ammunition or missed targets, especially against moving enemies or concealed positions. Soldiers developed techniques to compensate, bracing against shoulders, using bipods, controlling breathing, and anticipating the weapon's kick. But few could maintain perfect accuracy over prolonged sequences. Manuals describe steady aim and controlled bursts, yet battlefield conditions rarely allowed adherence to theory. Mud, snow, smoke, and fear made consistency a rare skill. Within this environment, the gunner's method stood apart. By mastering his stance, he absorbed recoil in a way that kept his sights true through an unprecedented number of consecutive shots. It was a combination of physical training, instinct, and acute situational awareness, a small miracle in a war defined by randomness and chaos. The preparation, the technique, and the conditions now converge at the front line. The gunner's moment of action was imminent, and the battle would soon test every ounce of skill he had honed. The human angle. He was perhaps the most striking. 90 consecutive shots demanded more than technique. It required extraordinary mental endurance. Each round fired intensified fatigue, yet the gunner remained composed, heart steady despite the pounding of artillery around him. Soldiers nearby recalled his calm demeanor, noting how his focus seemed almost detached from the chaos. In moments when men faltered under stress, he exemplified what disciplined concentration could achieve. His mind anticipated each recoil, each micro-adjustment, turning instinct into precision. Tactically, his impact was immediate. Suppressing enemy positions on the ridgeline required uninterrupted fire. Every accurate shot neutralized threats that could have stalled the advance or inflicted heavy casualties. By maintaining perfect aim, he allowed his squad to maneuver with confidence, knowing that enemy machine guns and sniper nests were being consistently targeted. Commanders recognized that one precise shooter could shape the battlefield, turning seemingly impossible objectives into achievable gains. From a technological perspective, the weapon itself became a partner in this effort. The rifle's design, with its semi-automatic mechanism, demanded mastery of timing, grip, and stance. Any lapse, however small, would result in misalignment. Yet the gunner's recoil absorption stance minimized these errors. It demonstrated that human skill and mechanical reliability could synchronize in a way few soldiers had ever achieved, showing how one individual could amplify the effectiveness of standard-issue equipment. His presence on the field, therefore, was more than a single soldier firing a rifle. It was a convergence of endurance, tactical significance, and technological mastery, each reinforcing the other. The battle was now not just about numbers or strategy, it was about precision under pressure. The leadership angle reveals how his skill inspired those around him. Officers observed the gunner's calm under fire, noting that his composure steadied the squad. Soldiers often looked to him for timing and rhythm, unconsciously syncing their own actions with his. In an environment where fear could paralyze, his mastery became a focal point of cohesion. His stance, repeated shot after shot, subtly reinforced discipline and confidence, proving that leadership was not always spoken. It could be demonstrated through action. The enemy angle adds another layer. German forces, trained to exploit hesitation, found their positions systematically neutralized. Each precise shot reduced their ability to mount counterattacks, forcing them into defensive postures. Accounts describe the disorientation caused when suppressive fire came with unerring accuracy, breaking both lines of sight and morale. The gunner, though unseen in the chaos, became a silent threat that dictated enemy movements, shaping the battle without direct confrontation. Finally, the moral angle highlights the psychological burden of sustained precision. Each shot carried a human cost. Every target eliminated represented a life, a choice made under extreme conditions. The gunner bore this responsibility, aware that accuracy was not just tactical, it was lethal. Yet his ethical awareness did not hinder his focus, rather it sharpened it. He internalized the gravity of his role, turning moral weight into disciplined action. Through these angles, it becomes clear that his achievement was not merely mechanical, it was human, tactical, technological, commanding, and moral, all converging in a single act of extraordinary focus. The first volley began at 06:42, under a low-hanging gray dawn. Snowflakes drifted in the air, melting against the metal of rifles and helmets. The gunner's fingers gripped the cold wood stock, his eyes fixed on the faint shapes of enemy fortifications half a mile away. Around him, the squad ducked behind the shattered remnants of a stone wall, nervously adjusting their own aim. The first 10 shots were crucial. Each round left the barrel with a sharp jolt, but his stance absorbed the impact. He exhaled steadily, aligning the next shot without hesitation. The enemy's machine gun nest fired intermittently, tracer rounds whipping through the morning haze, yet he remained unshaken. Each pull of the trigger was precise, controlled, almost ritualistic. By the 20th shot, fatigue began to whisper at his shoulders, but his training and focus held firm. Comrades began to notice the pattern. No recoil threw him off. No burst of incoming fire diverted his gaze. Every bullet found its mark, taking out key positions that had previously pinned them down. The rhythm became almost hypnotic, the methodical crack of each rifle followed by a brief pause to absorb, adjust, and release. Through 30-45 rounds, the gunner's actions created a steady corridor of safety. The squad advanced cautiously, inspired by his relentless precision. Enemy responses faltered. Positions abandoned under the weight of unerring fire. In this frozen morning, under the storm of war, one man's mastery began to dictate the pace of battle. The final 45 shots began at 07:17, the air now thick with smoke and the acrid scent of spent gunpowder. The gunner's stance remained unchanged, a study in balance and focus. Around him, comrades pressed forward, using the corridor of suppressed fire to gain ground. The enemy, initially confident, now scrambled to reposition, their movements frantic beneath the unbroken precision of his aim. Every shot continued to find its mark. Rifle cracks echoed off frozen walls and shattered trees, a relentless cadence that left no room for hesitation. The gunner's eyes never wavered. He tracked targets instinctively, adjusting for distance, wind, and slight tremors in the earth from nearby artillery shells. Fellow soldiers whispered in awe, noting how he seemed to merge with the weapon, becoming a single, unyielding force on the battlefield. By shot 80, exhaustion pressed against his body. Fingers cramped, vision blurred, yet his rhythm never faltered. The enemy's key machine gun nests had been neutralized, mortar crews disrupted, and snipers forced into hiding. The battleground shifted with each round, the momentum swinging irrevocably toward the advancing squad. The final shot, the 90th, was fired at 07:44. Silence followed, punctuated only by distant artillery. The gunner lowered his rifle, shoulders sagging slightly, aware that the moment had changed the battle entirely. His skill, perfected through repetition and calm, had transformed a fragile offensive into a decisive advance, proving that precision under pressure could alter the course of combat. The immediate aftermath of the gunner's relentless sequence of fire was striking. The ridge, once bristling with enemy fortifications, now lay largely silent. Man soldiers, disoriented and demoralized by the consistent accuracy, had either retreated or been neutralized. Reports from the squad indicated that the positions targeted during the 90-shot sequence had been key to halting prior Allied advances. The gunner's precision effectively removed the primary obstacles in the path of the advancing troops. Comrades described the scene in quiet awe. Survivors later recalled how the corridor of fire had allowed them to move without exposing themselves to lethal machine gun bursts. Field reports highlighted that the suppression had not only minimized casualties but had also preserved the squad's operational momentum. Commanders noted the tactical significance. One well-trained, highly focused individual could temporarily dictate the battlefield, providing both cover and psychological advantage. The weapon itself bore evidence of the ordeal. The rifle stock was worn from constant gripping, metal surfaces darkened with residue, yet it had fired without malfunction. Artillery manuals later referenced such cases to emphasize the combination of human skill and mechanical reliability. The sequence became a small but notable example of how individual proficiency could reinforce unit effectiveness in high-stakes engagements. The battle was far from over, but this decisive act had reshaped the immediate tactical landscape, setting the stage for subsequent maneuvers. In the days following the engagement, official reports acknowledged the gunner's extraordinary performance. Commanding officers noted that his ability to maintain accuracy through 90 consecutive shots had prevented potential counterattacks and reduced casualties within the squad. German communications intercepted later confirmed confusion among enemy units, their defensive rhythm shattered by an unseen but lethal force. Analysts recognized that precision, sustained under extreme pressure, could be as decisive as sheer numbers or firepower. Morale within the squad soared. Soldiers who had witnessed the feat spoke of renewed confidence in their own capabilities. Letters sent home described the gunner's calm focus as emblematic of discipline and courage in the face of overwhelming adversity. His stance, repeated and perfected, became an informal teaching tool within the regiment, inspiring others to prioritize control and technique over brute force. Tactically, this event influenced subsequent operations. Commanders reviewed the encounter in briefings, highlighting the importance of sustained accuracy and trained recoil management. The incident was cited in post-action analyses as a clear demonstration of how individual mastery could amplify unit effectiveness and directly shape outcomes on the battlefield. The battlefield had shifted both physically and psychologically. What had begun as a frozen morning on a ridgeline had become a lesson in focus, endurance, and the profound impact of one soldier's skill. The human, tactical, and technological threads now converge toward reflection, revealing the broader significance of precision in war. In the quiet that followed the battle, the gunner's feat took on a deeper significance. Beyond the numbers, beyond the rifles and fortifications, it revealed the profound impact of human mastery under pressure. One soldier, disciplined and and focused, had altered the flow of combat, shaping both the physical and psychological landscape of the battlefield. His recoil absorption stance was not merely a technique, it was a testament to the fusion of skill, patience, and awareness that defined exceptional soldiers in World War II. This moment also highlighted a broader truth about warfare. Battles are often remembered for strategy, numbers, or leadership, but precision, the ability to act flawlessly amid chaos, can tip the balance. Technology alone does not decide outcomes. Human ingenuity and endurance remain decisive. The gunner's calm in the face of relentless noise, smoke, and fear illustrates how one person's control can ripple outward, influencing the movement of entire units and the decisions of commanders. Ultimately, the story is not only about 90 shots fired with unerring accuracy, it is about the capacity for focus, the quiet heroism that unfolds in frozen fields and ruined villages, and the human spirit's ability to impose order on chaos. In the annals of history, such moments remind us that even amid the vast machinery of war, individual skill and discipline can leave an indelible mark on the course of events.